So I hear about this man who calls the synagogue office a couple of days after Yom Kippur. The receptionist, shalom, and he said, I would like to talk to the head hog at the trough. She said, excuse me? I would like to talk to the head hog at the trough. I said, do you mean the rabbi? I said, yeah, the head hog of the trough. I said, but that's not nice. We don't talk about the rabbi that way. So what is it all about? So, well, I would like to make a 100,000 donation to the High Holidays Appeal. Okay, hold on a minute. Let me see if Pork is in his office. I want to talk to you today about keeping the momentum. You know, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, it's over. It's all over right now, right? And we made it. Hopefully, we were inspired by the music, by the messages, but everything that we prepared. Maybe, I hope you were inspired. In fact, I was talking with Leslie before, and we got lots of messages of people saying how inspired they were by everything that we prepared. We work hard. We work hard. So it's great. It's great that you got the message, you feel the inspiration, you feel the energy, and maybe you were motivated to make some adjustments during this year, right? And when people say that they were inspired, I believe them. But it's a fact. It's a fact that happens all the time. Eventually, high holidays are over. And then that inspiration, that energy starts fading out. And then something happens. We usually call it, we lose momentum. We lose momentum. Sometimes right after, sometimes it takes a little longer, but eventually, most of the time, it happens. But you see, let me go back to this week's parsha. And I mentioned this verse at the very beginning of the service, so if you were here at 10 o'clock, you may remember. When I said this week's parsha at the beginning, it says, Azinu hashamayim v'adavera v'tishma haaretz imreifi. It said, listen, heavens, what I have to say, hear the earth, the words of my mouth. Of course, this is a symbol of God talking, and it's interesting the way it's written. Hazinu hashamayim, listen, heaven. How easy it is, right? When everything is heavenly around us, it's easy to listen. It's easy to listen to words of Torah, words of inspiration. Everything that the rabbi says, everything that the cantor sings, it's easy to capture that when we are in heaven. We come to synagogue on the high holidays. The house is nice. We put on best clothes. We get together. And it's an environment that is conducive to receive all these messages, these words of Torah, and we feel good and we feel inspired. But then, it's interesting that the language changes. It's not listen anymore. Now it's hear. Hear haaretz, earth. When we come back to our routines, all of a sudden we don't listen anymore, we just hear. And I mentioned before the difference between listening and hearing. Hearing, we hear lots of things all the time, but we don't really listen. Listening means you are there, in body and soul, paying attention, understanding the message. Yeah, that's what happened on the high holidays. Then, eventually, when we go back to earth, it's difficult to keep listening at the same level. But you see, this is what happened. This is what happened because the concept of momentum, or keeping the momentum, everything is coming from the words of physics and chemistry. And sometimes they talk about this burst of energy that we need to create either a reaction or to produce a movement. You will see this kind of things, for example, with a car. When you start a car, you need all this combustion at the beginning to make it move. and for many other things that you need a big burst of energy to put something into action or into movement. And then eventually you're going to need more energy to keep it rolling. But the interesting thing is, you need really a big burst of energy at the beginning. But then to keep something moving or rolling, you don't need that much energy anymore. That's what we call it keeping the momentum, keeping the movement. It's way easier than to put something into action. As I heard, I think even the Talmud mentions this, I can't remember the Talmud, one of the Midrashim, that is talking about how difficult it is to put a load on top of a donkey. Sometimes you need 2, 3 people to put it over. But then, as you move, to keep it there, to keep the balance, is way easier than to put it on top. When it is on top, then it's easy to keep it there. So this is an interesting thing. And sometimes perhaps we fail to understand it, is that we let all that inspiration from the high holidays to fade out. Because yes, when we come to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we get this big burst of spiritual energy. And it's fantastic, and it's happening, and it's real. We can feel it. But then it doesn't take that much to keep that level of energy there so we can keep the momentum going. We have to do something, but not at the same level of Yom Kippur, that you have to come to synagogue for 25 hours fasting and all these long prayers. It doesn't take that much after that. What it takes is, for us, to take some time to keep the momentum going. Maybe you need to come to a Torah study once a week. Maybe you can come to services, even if you cannot come 3 times a day, you can have maybe 1 service a day, so you can feel that connection with Torah and that connection with God, and you can rediscover that you have a soul. A little bit every day. It's not the same burst of energy that we have during the high holidays, but it's just what we need to keep that momentum going. So this is my challenge for all of you for this new year. As, for example, now we continue with Sukkot. Don't let that energy of the high holidays to fade out. Come celebrate Sukkot. Keep the momentum going. Then eventually Sukkot is going to be over. Well, come every Shabbat. Attend to our programs, to our Torah studies. We have so many things to offer that, okay, it's not like Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, but it isn't supposed to be. It's supposed to be something to keep that new energies that you discovered during the high holidays fresh and relevant for the rest of the year. So my message for you today is, remember what you felt during the high holidays and don't let it fade out. Do something, a little bit of something Jewish every day during the next year to keep that momentum going, to be inspired, and to be motivated to do even more things during 5782.